Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a mental health counselor. Today, I'd like to go back and talk a bit about the case of 5-year-old missing Summer Moon Utwells. Summer was a 5-year-old girl who was reported missing in the state of Rogersville, Tennessee. Summer's mother, Candus, called law enforcement and reported her daughter missing. The father, Donald Wells, allegedly called law enforcement from his workplace and he reported her missing too, allegedly. The father, Donald Wells, said that he was at work and that Candus called him hysterically, saying that she could not find Summer Moon Utwells. Candus told law enforcement that she was planting flowers with her mother, Grandis, whose name is also Candy. Candy's Hera, Candus Bly, that's Summer's mother, and Summer were all planting flowers in front of the trailer that the mother lived in. That is in the Wells property in Ben Hill Road. The mother's timeline was that she said that after they planted the flowers, Summer said that she wanted to go in and play with her brothers. Her brothers would be around 12, 10, and 8, I believe, at that time. The three brothers were allegedly watching YouTube and playing Minecraft games, allegedly. The mother, Candice Bly, said that she went inside the house. She asked the boys to look after their sister, and she came out. She said she helped her mother to fix the knee brace, and it only took 2 minutes. That would be my first red flag. I believe it would have taken a good minute and a half to walk from her house to her grandmother's house, for Candice to walk from her house to the mother's trailer could take at least a minute. I googled up and checked. It takes a couple of minutes, not even 2 minutes. I think it's about 4 minutes to 8 minutes. It depends on how slow or how quick the person is to help someone to do the knee bracelet. Then she said that Candice said that she went in allegedly after 2 minutes, and she asked the boys, "Where's your sister at?" And the boys said, "Mom, she's downstairs playing with her toys." She said she called out for Summer. She didn't get any reply. Then she went downstairs to check under the blankets, and it's not a big place downstairs in the basement. Most of us are aware of that. So she said that she came upstairs, she didn't find Summer. She asked the boys, "Where's your sister?" They said she was playing down in the basement. So immediately she called Dawn, which I find a bit strange, and she said to Dawn that Summer's gone. I can believe people are different. Some people may decide to call their partner, their husband, their boyfriend, the father of the child first, just to double check if the child is with them. But I'm sure most of us would have thought, even in stress and being anxious, I personally, God forbid, would have called 999. In UK it's 999. In the United States it's 911. I would have called the emergency line, because to start with, law enforcement have more skills, have more resources, and obviously it's their job. So it doesn't make sense to call Dawn, who is in Jonesburg, 45 minutes away from the home. That was the red flag that came out for me at once. After she called Dawn, she called law enforcement, and Dawn called law enforcement from Jonesburg, I believe, or on his way from Jonesburg to Ben Hill Creek. Now that is another red flag for me, because I don't think it's important for Dawn to be calling the police at the same time Candus is. So I think he called from the place he was at, and he told Candus to call allegedly from where she was at, just to get an alibi and to say maybe that, to show the police that I called you and reported her missing. I'm a concerned father. Or maybe just to confuse the police. That is my opinion. But Dawn said it took him 25 minutes to get home. He drove as fast as he could. But when I researched it and checked up on the map, it would have taken a good 45 minutes to 40 minutes, and that is without any traffic. So I do not completely believe that Dawn was at work at all. I believe he was much nearer around his property, and he was saying he was at work to get an alibi. But I could be completely wrong. Then basically it's been a bit over 10 months. We haven't got any new information, no new updates of Summer Munutu Wells. So this is kind of concerning. From the minute Summer was missing, Dawn Wells, Candus Wells, and now after 9 months, 10 months, Candus included, all three of them have something in common, and that is the theory of abduction. And for some reason, all three of them, in their own way, are trying to always point out and mention to us that abductions happen. They're even telling us the statistics of how many abductions has taken place in Tennessee and around the areas. So it seems like they're quite defensive about that. I feel like they're trying to convince us so that we go along with their theory of abduction. What concerned me from the very start that I can still not get over is when Dawn Wells used the term, "I will meet Summer in the resurrection." That is the time my heart dropped immediately. Because for me it seemed like he knew that Summer ain't coming back for whatever reason. And then he talks so much about somebody coming and hiding and creeping around the hills and then snatching Summer from the basement, running down the hill. And then I start wondering, this is for entertainment purpose only, and this is my opinion. I wonder at times if he's actually telling us what really happened to Summer, and that it wasn't an abduction, but it was him who abducted Summer for whatever reason. Maybe with Candus knowing it, which I believe, or maybe Candus wasn't aware of it. Dawn Wells, to start with, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I wouldn't be diagnosing anyone. And Dawn and Candus and Candus ain't my clients in therapy, and even if they were, there's confidentiality rights. But I'm just doing allegedly a case study with this family. And I see a lot of mental illness around here, a lot of symptoms of mental illness. One person in the timeline that we're aware of does actually have a diagnosis and has mentioned it himself, although he's a minor, is Hunter. He said that he has impulsive ADHD, and I'm sure he goes to therapy and he has that under control. But I just wonder what happened that day and if he could be involved in it. Then you have Candus, who clearly looks like, or clearly, I don't know, her symptoms looks like something to do with maybe bipolar or anti-personality disorder. It's something to do with the emotions and moods, definitely. And then that is kind of scary for me, because I start wondering if she has bipolar 1, for example, then there would have been definitely a period where she would have been in a manic stage or manic episode. And if that has happened, I wonder if anything could have happened around that period, or if it was in the period of when Summer went missing. Because then if she had bipolar 1, she could have gone days and days without sleep, without food. And the emotions are all over. So they could be like right up there to the sky, happy, full of energy and all that. And it could just take them a little thing for them to get too emotional, or like it's a roller coaster ride of emotions, if you ask me. And then you have Donald Wells, who I see a lot of symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. Could be anything to do with those categories, I believe personally, because Don Wells has started all his crimes from a very young age, extremely young age, around 8, 9, 10. Because when we hear stories of him allegedly from his stepsisters, he was doing arson and burning down his father's farm at a very early age. The crimes have started with Don at very young age. The neglection, the abuse with his previous children, and allegedly with some other brothers. Don, I know there's a lot of rumors and a lot of, we all are in speculations for the most, and there's many people who are talking about the SOs, SEX, assaults, offenses that could have been going on with Summer Monuti Wells. Poor girl. But to be honest, I always try to avoid, as a counselor, cognitive behavior therapist, I try to avoid that department, because this is a minor. So there has to be some kind of boundaries and some kind of ethical morals with that. So I do not want to go deep into that. But one thing I can say is we see it clear in front of our face. The way that Donald talks about Summer is not normal. Is not normal, like a father would have talked about his daughter. Then we hear all these rumors or speculations that Don was having a bath with Summer or having a shower with Summer. And then that doesn't sit right with anyone, obviously. But then we have not evidence, but then we have clearly 7 victims, 2 of them being his stepsisters, and another 4 or 5 girls who have reported Don to the courts of Utah. He was allegedly, doing SOX with these girls. His stepsister was 5 years old and he was, I believe, 13 or 15 or something. But he said, according to him, that they were playing house. So like you can see, this is a person who has clearly no remorse, no empathy. That's the reason I keep on wondering if it could be anything to do with antisocial personality disorder, historic personality, borderline personality, bipolar. There's so many things in that range that I could actually think of. But antisocial personality disorder, sociopath and psychopath would be my first. That was always what I looked more at Dawn, because of all the arson, burning things, hurting animals, the SOs, all the abuse going on basically. Then we have Don, his oldest son from his previous wife, who's 31, 32, who it looks like the behavior pattern seems to still be continuing. He was having intercourse with a minor, although she was 18 months, not although she was, I believe, 18 months younger than him, and that's what he said. Don said that he didn't see anything wrong in that. And that is another thing that shows you there's no remorse there. There's no empathy there. So that's very concerning too. This is not the first person, Summer's not the first person in this family who's been missing. You have Rosemary Bly, that is Summer's auntie, who was missing from Wisconsin when she was only 21 years old. That was in 2009. She left behind 2 daughters, and it's an active case, hopefully still in, I believe that was in Wisconsin. Donald Wells is arrested for the last 2 months on charges of domestic violence. On charges of drinking and driving. It's just a bit hard to catch up with all of Don's offenses, because there was a domestic violence period that was going on. What is strange in this case, all the red flags are clear to us, but it's more clearer that these 2 parents are not searching for their children. They don't show empathy for their children. The grandmother just left town as soon as Summer was missing. So she gives us a lot of red flags too. Allegedly now, she spoke after 9 months and she did an interview, which did not make sense for me why it took her so long time to get this interview done. She said that people don't understand her and what she's been through, and that she has Rosemary Bly missing and all. I do understand that. I can see that easily. If you have one daughter missing since 2009, it can be a PSCD it could be a PSCD, an anxiety ride for her, if she starts getting involved in searching for Summer. But then common sense will tell you as a parent and as a grandparent that these 2 cases have nothing to do with each other and that her daughter Candus needs her. So it doesn't make sense what is the reason that Grandis left, although she said that her brother-in-law was sick and was having heart problems. But then you clearly have someone who's completely missing that happens to be your granddaughter. And since she has had her daughter missing up to now, I would have expected her to relate more to that and to help her daughter Candus. Unless Candus and Dawn allegedly asked maybe Grandis to step aside and go to Wisconsin so that she wouldn't tell exactly the truth about what happened. What I find really strange is that they all have the same theory of what happened. They all call it an abduction for no reason. And like the sheriff said, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said that he does not believe in the abduction theory. Where they live, where the Wells live, is a very isolated place. So unless they had any enemies or unless they owed some people money, I couldn't find any other way that somebody would come to a property and take the chance. The risk is more for them to get caught. It looks like these people have been living in negligence and abuse towards their children for a very long time, and they got away with it. Let's be honest. Don Wells said on the behavior panel's interview clearly that he bought all his boys' pocket knives. So when he bought all of his boys' pocket knives, I wonder if an accident could have happened, if the boys fought, and if they could have used it by mistake. I believe that there are so many more suspects in this case that we are not even aware of, that will come further down the line. I find it still strange that Candus is not taking the chance and is not using a YouTube channel to search for Summer Moon Utawels, and that shows a lot of a person. For me personally, it says to me that Summer is not coming back. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. We all must have realized that by now. Unless they hid her somewhere or sold her to someone. And I hope if that is the case, I hope TBI finds her safe, and I hope Summer's alive. If not, I hope we get to bury her in peace and get justice for Summer. She needs to lay down and rest in peace. This is a horrible, horrible situation. We have so many people here with symptoms of mental illness. We have so many people here with SO offenses. We have so many people here with drugs and alcohol abuse and addictions. We even heard allegedly speculations of Candus being giving alcohol and drugs to little kids, and especially to all of her grandchildren, including Summer. This is just a horrific and sad situation. It's really heartbreaking, and I'm really thankful and happy that CPS came and took their children eventually. They could have done that much before, but they say better late than never. It's sad that it had to cost Summer's disappearance for the CPS to actually get their job done. I always used to believe that it was an accident for a very long time, but for the last 3 months I'm actually starting to look more at this being pre-planned, because that will clearly give it a motive. If Don was committing SO acts with Summer, with his little daughter, God forbid, then obviously he wouldn't want evidence, and school was starting the week after. I believe that all this took place on the 14th of June and not the 15th of June. I've said that actually for the last 3 months, but I'm hearing more people saying that often recently, and I really do believe. Because this reminds me, I've always said, in December, I was thinking about it and I thought to myself, this reminds me of the West case, the California City boys. Trezell and Jacqueline reported them missing on the 21st of December 2020, but the children were long gone. They were missing since September, according to Bakersfield law enforcement. So that makes sense. So I was wondering if this actually took place on the 14th. Like Dudley said, the guy was working for Dawn. He said he was very sad on the 12th. Not on the 12th, sorry, on the 14th. And that reminds me too of the other cases. Not only the cases, I mean, that reminds me too of the whole timeline of the 15th. It makes more sense that something happened on the 14th and not the 15th. That's for me personally. And yeah, I don't know. I just hope that we come to a positive ending and get justice for Samamun Utuwel. She deserves that. This is really wrong and horrible. And it's just a shame to see Candus not bothered about her daughter at all. It was interesting for me to watch the interview she did with Ernie Shell, because there was a split second where she just switched and turned to another person and started yelling. If you watch that interview, I think he was asking her something about what would you do if Summer just walked in, or if Summer came back and all. It was somewhere around there in that conversation. She just yells and says, "What do you mean? And what are you trying to say?" and all. And then it just reminded me a bit of people who have certain symptoms of bipolar 1 and all that. So I don't know. It's just a speculation. Like I said, it's for entertainment purpose only. Mental health is a big branch, so it's not easy unless a psychiatrist evaluates them, and then we therapists are supposed to be doing therapy on a certain plan. It depends on the diagnosis or what they're dealing with, whether it's PTSD, anxiety, depression, or if it's any other mental disorder. But then that even is done through the DSM-5. And most of these mental illness comes with high anxiety or high depression. But then what makes it more difficult in this case to explain what could have happened is just so sad that it's not only the mental illness that is affecting this case with the people who are involved, it's the addictions that make it worse. So I personally, I would have recommended that they get sober first, because this is a tough case. It's a tough case because you have all kind of alcohol and drugs going on, and you have all kind of allegedly mental illness. I don't understand why Candus is not using that chance to continue her therapy, which is extremely important for her. Because if this was clearly an abduction, which I don't believe, neither does the sheriff, neither does many of us. If it wasn't an abduction, and if this was true that that Summer was gone, like Candus said, then as a parent she would need to grieve. She would need bereavement counseling. She would have needed counseling to reduce her anxiety. If she's under medication, if she has bipolar or any other disorder, she would still be needing therapy. So it does make sense. But the more that Dawn spoke from the start of this case up to now, I believe that, God forbid, we wouldn't be finding Summer easily alive, because he keeps on talking about resurrection. He keeps on talking about his dreams. I think he wants us to now to analyze his dreams. Good luck with that, Dawn. And it's just so sad that there's no emotions, empathy going on. From the grandmother, to the mother, to the father. And I still never get over the dispatcher. The dispatcher call said that the mother went out for a walk. And then you have Hunter saying allegedly that he checked Candus's phone and she was talking to a dealer. So I wonder if the dealer lives nearby. Did she have a walk to the dealer? Was this all pre-planned? Was it an accident that turned up to be a cover-up? I used to always think that nobody would deliberately get rid of someone in the family, that it could have been an accident. But the reason I believe that it could be pre-planned is because school was starting, like we know. And I'm sure Don didn't want to go back to jail if he did something to Summer. He's always said that he would never want to go back to jail. But guess what? He's already in jail. And if he did anything to Summer, I hope he remains there for the rest of his life. And I hope they add Candus too, if she was involved. Because the more either Candus has serious mental illness and cognitive issues, which she should receive her help for, and she should continue, that's her choice, but she should continue going to a counseling for. Either it's that, or it's either that these people just do not care, that their drugs, their alcohol, their dirty habits, and their SO offenses and their crimes are more important to them than the well-being of their 4 children. When you do a case study and look back at how they were parents before these two met and had these 4 children, the previous 2 children that Candus has had has been taken from her, although she says she was 19 and the father of the other 2 older children was much older than her and he was abusing and beating and all that. That happens. But now you're 36 or 37. You're not 19 anymore. So I don't know what is the excuse now either. And I'm surprised that the CPS took so long time to come and get the children. If they had so many complaints coming from different places and different people, something should have been done long time ago. Because this is unacceptable. I can imagine the 3 boys that are left, Summer's brothers, they will have to live with this trauma for the rest of their life. Whether it's PTSD, anxiety, depression, nightmares, night sweats, these boys will be going through a lot. Luckily, the younger you are, I wouldn't say the less it affects you, but the memories will be more dimmer, and it's like, yeah, it'll be more, not lesser, but it affects the older children, definitely, because it's about memories. And when I look at all the pictures of the children, I see the oldest brother used to hold Summer from when she was a baby in his lap. So I think that they had a good connection. And Candus has said many times that the youngest brother used to play a lot with Summer, and he felt guilty that he did not go and play with her before she was taken, allegedly. And then I never understand Jodie Sue Brown. I'm being honest. It's not that I can't understand her accent, it's just that I can't understand her BS. She's hiding something. And she's the one I personally believe that is helping the Wells with the abduction theory. She's the one who came out with the door slamming and she heard a yell or something. That's a red flag for me. Because obviously common sense, if you hear something like that, even if you're scared to open your door and check what's going outside, which I would have been, but I would have called 911. I would have called, not even 911. I would have called at least the neighbors to check on if they heard anything similar, if there's any concerns in the neighborhood. She didn't do that, so I wonder if Jodie Sue and her children had anything to do with that too. I hope that we come to the bottom of this case. Another case that should be coming up next month, hopefully, is the case of Sincere and Classic Pettis. Hopefully, the grand jury is going to make an indictment. They're going to decide if they're going to indict these two evil parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents of Sincere and Classic, who reported them missing in December 2020, but they were long gone. They were gone in September 2020. So hopefully that case should be coming to the court soon. And then you have the case of Suzanne Morphew and Barry Morphew. And that case doesn't seem to be, I don't know, there's so many, I just have so much mixed feelings about that case, because I don't know why. From day one I've always said that I just have the feeling that Barry Morphew will walk out without, because there isn't any proper evidence. And Barry's case is just like Barry Morphew. The Wells and the West have something in common. There's no bodies. So if there's no bodies, it's going to be difficult to indict them. I really hope that TBI finds something soon and arrests whoever was involved in Summer's disappearance. That is the reason they say, see something, say something. It's just sad that so many people neglected Summer. And I'm really sorry to say, even the church, I personally believe that they could have done more. If they fear God, they should have. Robin was holding Summer on her lap all the time as she was carrying her. And we could clearly see from the pictures that Summer was, I really hate to say, Summer was keeping on holding herself downstairs or just putting her hand covering her private areas. It can happen as a child, but this was in many, many other pictures too. So it makes me start wondering, how could all these people have missed all these signs? I don't understand. The girl did not go to school, so it made it much difficult for them to see. But it was so obvious. It was so obvious. And I hate to say this. I know I may get a lot of backlash for this, but I recently thought of Summer's hair being really, really, it wasn't short, it was shaved. She was shaved bald towards the end. And I was wondering, is that, it could be possible, maybe they shaved her hair so that, God forbid, when they bury or hide away, that they thought that try and cut her nails and her hair and maybe remove the teeth so that there wouldn't be any DNA evidence. I'm really sorry to say, that's what I'm starting to wonder. Could it be that? Or was it some kind of trade for human trafficking? Or was it in some kind of cult that they were in? The hair is a bit dodgy for all of us, I think. Everyone has their own theories and speculations, but I'm starting to really wonder that if these people were, because they're full of lies, let's be honest, so they're capable of doing anything. Let's not forget that Barry Morphew himself used to say that he used to watch a lot of forensic reports and documentaries before Suzanne Morphew got gone. God forbid. Before she vanished, this guy was busy throwing evidence in different areas, 5 separate areas. He was clearly a hunter. He knew what he was doing. Came out with lousy theories about chipmunks and all that. So it's strange. When I think of Barry Morphew, I think of Trezell. And when I think of Trezell, I think of Don Wells. All 3 of them, I don't know. I personally feel like they're antisocial personality disorder cases. Jacqueline, for me, looks like more like a sociopath, if you ask me. And so does Candy. Bipolar, some mental illness they're going through that has with emotions. You can see that from Jacqueline, and you can see that from Candus. I really hope that we get some answers soon about these cases. I hope that Summer gets the peace that she deserves, because this is not fair for any human being. Summer was let down when she was alive. I hope they do not let her down when she's dead. If she's not alive, she would need to rest in peace if she's not around. And if she's alive, she would need a lot of love and therapy. So I hope we come to some kind of peaceful resolution with this case. I think it would make it much more easier if Grandis talks, if Jody Sue Brown talks, if Candice talks, if Dawn talks, if Hunter talks, and Allison. Those 6 people, I believe, know a lot that they're hiding. And clearly there was no abduction. That's the main thing. If there was an abduction, it must have been someone that they planned the abduction with. And that is my personal opinion. Anyway, guys, I'm wishing everyone a happy Easter. And I'm wishing everyone a happy week for the next coming week. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please write down what do you all think about this clip, and yeah, let's open our discussion downstairs in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day. Bye.